Hey everybody, it's Cooper here, and welcome to a new video. And this is a new series that I'm starting where I'm going to be capturing gameplay footage of old retro games, and I am capturing this myself, so the gameplay that you will be seeing is actually me playing on a real console. I'm not using emulators or anything, and I'm going to be capturing the footage and then telling you guys stories on top of it. The gameplay footage is basically just something to look at while you listen to the story, or you can just put this on in the background while you're playing your own games or doing whatever. This gameplay is Aladdin for the Super Nintendo, and the story, as you guys can tell from the title, is the time that I almost broke my back. And so I'm just gonna start from the beginning and tell you what happened. So I almost broke my back. It actually wasn't that long ago. I think maybe 2.5 years ago now. And I know some of you guys know who Cassidy is. He was my roommate up until very recently. He just graduated and moved out. But I was hanging out with him a lot, because we've been friends for a while. So we've been hanging out for a while. And every Sunday we would go to this place called Nadonov Gym. And it's a gymnastics gym where they have open gym where you can go, and it's like $14 for a couple hours, and they have like trampolines and foam pits and like all sorts of stuff, and it's a lot of fun. And we had been going pretty much like every Sunday for at least a month or two at this time, and we had always been interested in like parkour and flipping and free running and tumbling and all that, but it was basically just us. We never had any training or anything, so we were just going and basically just practicing flips on the trampolines and tumble tracks. And I had been doing gainers on this Olympic style trampoline, which is extremely bouncy, and they have it set down in the floor, so the trampoline is like flush with the ground. And I had a stack of mats that I had set up next to it that I was doing gainers off of the trampoline and landing on the mats. And I had been doing this for probably 10 or 15 minutes already, and I was doing them fine. And then on the last one, for some reason, my body decided to give up halfway through the flip. And if you guys don't know what a gainer is, it's basically it's a backflip, but you're moving forward. So it's kind of weird to explain if you don't already know what it is, but just, you can look up videos of it. But I was doing that, and like I said, my body decided to give up halfway through the flip. And I came crashing down, and I landed on the back of my neck, and the rest of my body came crashing on top of me. And if you can imagine, basically, like, imagine your neck, the back of your head and your neck on the ground, and the rest of your body coming up and cracking down on top of you, where your chin is pushed into your chest. And that's how it was. My feet were above my head, basically, when I landed. And immediately when it happened, I blacked out, and I think I was out for maybe like 5 seconds. It wasn't that long. But when I came back, the wind was knocked out of me, and I couldn't breathe. And it hurt really bad. It's hard to explain. It was honestly the worst pain I've ever felt. And, I'd rather get kicked in the balls 5 times in a row than experience that pain again. It was terrible. So Cassidy had seen it happen, and he came over to see if I was okay. And, I couldn't speak because the wind was knocked out of me. And one of the employees had seen me do it too, and they didn't seem as worried or anything, because apparently that kind of stuff happens all the time. But he told me that it was no big deal, I'd be fine after a little while, but that turned out to not be the case, and I think it was a little worse than he was expecting. So, after a couple minutes, not even a couple minutes, but after a little while, I was fine. I could talk and breathe and all that, but it still hurt really bad. And after maybe like 20 minutes of resting, I tried to, get back into it, because I'm the kind of person that if I pay to go and do something, I hate to leave early for any reason. I try and get my money's worth out of it, basically. So I wanted to continue, playing around and everything. So I tried to continue with it, but the pain was really bad. So we did end up leaving early, and we went back to Cassidy's house where I had been sleeping over for a little while, and I called my mom and explained what happened and told her, what had happened, and I told her that it was fine, it was just kind of painful, and that I was going to stay at Cassidy's that night again, which I did, and that was probably a really bad mistake, because that night, trying to sleep was one of the worst things I've ever experienced. And I'm sure some of you guys have been in situations where it hurts to lay down a certain direction or something like that, and that is horrible, because when you're sleeping, you want to be as comfortable as possible, and then, it hurt so bad in my chest and in my back, I couldn't, even going from a sitting position to laying down was excruciating. The pain was horrible, and so that night I had a terrible time trying to sleep. When we were attempting to sleep on the couches, because we were watching like TV or whatever before we went to sleep, and in the middle of the night I ended up getting up and having to go to his room to try and sleep in his bed, thinking that might be better, and it was a little bit, but it still hurt like crazy. And so the next day, my mom picked me up and she took me to the ER, and it was either that day or the next day. It was soon after that. I don't remember exactly, but we went, and I had to get an MRI and a CAT scan, I believe, and I explained to the doctor what exactly had happened, and it's a more common injury for gymnasts, but I'm not a gymnast. We were just messing around or whatever. So he explained, what could be wrong and everything, and then he did the tests and came back and said that it doesn't appear that anything was broken or cracked, but there would be like very heavy bruising, and obviously there's going to be some intense pain, which there was, and so that was basically it, but it was a lot worse than I could have ever expected. The doctor said that it would hurt for a couple weeks, and then after that it should, kind of go back to normal. But the pain lasted for literally like 8 to 10 months. And the first few weeks was really bad. Every night was like the first one, just excruciating pain, even just trying to lay down. And I sleep on my side, and I always like switch back and forth through the night just to get more comfortable, and that was terrible. So, after a couple weeks, the pain did subside, but it was still there. It was just, it wasn't as bad. And basically, I still have problems to this day. The pain lasted for 8 months, like I said, but it was mostly like if I bend the wrong way or if I push in on my chest, it would hurt. But to this day, I can't lay on my left side for very long without it hurting, and it's a weird pain. It almost feels like how would I describe it? Kind of like heartburn almost. Like it hurts around my heart, which doesn't sound good, but it's not really affecting me that much. I've learned to kind of sleep only on my right side, which kind of sucks, but gotta deal with it. And basically, when you lay down and you kind of like prop your head up with your arm, kind of like you would do if you're watching like TV or something, if I do that on my left side, after 5 minutes it starts to hurt. So I kind of have to be really careful and only try and lay on my right side. It's not a horrible pain unless for some reason I fall asleep like that and I wake up like an hour later. It's pretty bad, but I'm pretty much okay now. I have gone to like open gyms and stuff since, and I've actually learned a lot more about flipping and parkour and all that. And I have some videos that I want to show you guys at some point of me at the gym doing flips, and I think you guys might be impressed because no one on YouTube has seen me do anything like that, and I have been taking it very seriously. Although recently I haven't been going because I used to go with Cassidy, and he graduated, got a job, and moved out, so he's not here in Florida anymore, and I don't really enjoy going by myself. It's always fun sharing the experience with a friend, but I do have some old videos, and I am planning on going again at some point, and I want to try and make a video for you guys and show you guys that. But coming to the end of this video here, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the story, and if you did, please rate it a thumbs up so that I know you guys liked it. I'd like to do more of these. I have some more stories to tell you guys. I got some funny stories, some crazy stories. So yeah, that's the first one here, and hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.